The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Pennsylvania High School Football Report. I am Brian Linder here with Eric Epler and Dan Sostek. Eric, your house blew down. I understand what happened.
The shingles from a neighbor is what did the damage. So it's not horrendous, but has to be dealt with.
Yeah, well, it's been some nasty weather, so everybody's been inside. Dan, how's it been going, man?
Trying to stay dry. It's like Waterworld out there. I just watched that movie this year. Actually, it wasn't as bad as I was told it was.
Let's just stop right there for a second. You're going to tell me that like Two for the Money is a bad movie, which is not a great movie, but it's not a bad movie. But you're going to watch Waterworld, and
Waterworld's sets and designs are actually really like they spent a lot of money on those sets. The sets look cool as hell,
and they made about 75 cents off of that movie.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper too. Any movie with Dennis Hopper is good with me. So that's literally if you put Dennis Hopper and Kevin Costner in a movie, it could. If Two for the Money was Dennis Hopper and Kevin Costner, it'd be a top 10 movie of all time.
You realize that most of the people who listen to this podcast, especially high school players, they have no idea what Waterworld was. And
no, I'm trying to think of a good comparison for it, but there aren't really flops like that anymore. It was like one of the biggest box office flops ever.
Atrocity of film.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's like out here in Central PA, though. Except I don't have gills like Kevin Costner does. So,
before we even get into what's going on, man? I mean, look, are you just like glutton for punishment this year? Like your Patriots, they were terrible. Your Pitt Panthers, we won't talk about them.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to get, you get all those years of success with the Patriots to get a couple you get an ACC championship with Pitt. You got to start punishing yourself. You got to start reminding yourself how the other half lives a little bit.
Getting ready to hire Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. That I don't know how I feel about that, but I kind of want a clean break from the Belichick era.
Well, look, guys, it's not. We're in a little bit of a down period for football. We talked about it some last week. There's a lot going on as we speak. Zahir Mathis, I believe, here on Wednesday, has made his college commitment or is planning to make his college commitment. Have we seen that come down the pipeline yet?
Ohio State.
Really?
Ohio State.
Well, he's an interesting cat. We did a story on him before the season, and had a lot of tragedy in his life. Mom had cancer. A lot of people around him had cancer. He's a really, really good kid. Freak athlete. You guys seen him play him in person a little bit. I think that some of his numbers were chopped down by the fact that they had Jasir Whittington, who's going to the Pitt Panthers, in the middle, just eating guys alive. It was hard to get to the outside to him, but what did you guys see from Zahir Mathis? What do you think Ohio State's getting in that kid?
Well, to me, obviously watching him in December in the championship game too, I think you're right. I think he's hard to miss at 6'6", and I think they list him at 235. That might be a little bit of slight there, but for the fact that offenses try to run away from him is one thing. The fact that he's surrounded by a lot of really good athletes on defense is another thing. But I thought he did get overshadowed at times during that football game, and it was just sort of like, he's so long though that he can make plays in these 3 yards from the guys. I mean, his wingspan's incredible. He's got so much potential. Just the frame alone, and to get him with a defensive, get him in a defensive mentality at a place like Ohio State. I mean, his best football's coming, and I think in 2-3 years he could just be one of those freak athletes like we saw. A guy like Noah Spence for Bishop McDevitt years ago. Just so much upside for him. So I don't think he had a tremendous championship game. I think he was credited with like 8 or 9 tackles. But I watched him pretty closely on a few series, and he didn't have a lot to do on his side of the football, and that's probably by design from Pine Ridge, or I'm sorry, Peters Township. So
yeah, I think I think he's got all the tools, and one of the things Imhotep's produced so many good defensive linemen, and then to have the coaches tell me he might be the best one. They said that about Eni White too, but Devin Johnson and Cyril Woodland and those guys out there, they usually don't have to embellish too much.
Right.
When they say that about guys, it makes you open an eye because Imhotep's had so many talented guys. So there's big recruiting news. If you're a Penn State fan, you're certainly sad that you did not get Zahir Mathison and that now he's at Ohio State. So,
yeah, I mean, we did get, I think we kind of saw also, though, we did kind of see his breakout party, right, last year, because I think that McDevitt game was, I remember there were some people from Rivals at that game, and literally I think the day or two after that game, they might have, I forget if it was the day or two, week or 2, month or two, they dropped their class rankings, and he went from, not really being, not having a ranking because he was too young to being, highly touted. So we've seen both sides of it, right? And so I think we see kind of the ceiling with him. And like you said, if Devin Johnson says that about a kid, you take it a decent amount because they've had a lot of linemen come through that program.
So that class of 2025 is shaping up to be pretty interesting. Obviously, we got Stone Saunders here. You start looking at recruits there. We got Stone Saunders here in this area. He's committed to Kentucky. Bishop McDevitt's quarterback. I think Taki Hayes. Is Taki Hayes? Yeah, Taki Hayes is in that class. He's a Penn State commit. The running back for Aliquippa. Jabri Wallace Coleman, another Imhotep guy, the running back. He's in that class. He was a Georgia commit. Popped out after Fran Brown took the job at Syracuse. You guys, when you look at this class, anything stick out to you about this 2025 class, how it's shaping up?
Penn State figures to be obviously prominent. They did pick up the tight end, the North Catholic tight end, Brady O'Hara.
I didn't see that.
Commitment from him.
6'6",
and and we're interested in our guy too, Lex Cyrus. In our area, St. Joe's Prep obviously has 4 or 5 other guys I think listed top 15 in PA's class of 2025. I'm really interested to see where Cam Smith goes, the linebacker. I enjoyed watching him, and obviously Max Roy too is another big time player.
Max Roy is a beast,
and so they're going to be big time guys, and Dan's quarterback obviously out of Springford.
I think that's Brian's quarter. Brian's the guy who loves Zollers.
Matt Zoller's
been tremendous. Had a tremendous season. Great upside too.
Here's a surprise. I haven't really broken. We do our own rankings at PennLive. I haven't really gone through the 2025 film here in a while. But you look at 247 Sports, they got Stone Saunders at 10th in the class. They got Matt Zollers at 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fast rise for Zollers. Because I don't know that he was necessarily on the radar like that before last year, but he's 6'3", he's 205. He's got a good arm. He could run like a deer.
Another guy 2025 that we haven't mentioned is because I got to shout out the Western PA guys. It's a Deshaun Burnett's. He's a player too. He's
playing quarterback at Monte Cristo. He could be a linebacker, but they had him playing quarterback.
Yeah, I always love that. You get a lot of those the Western PA kids who are playing quarterback that won't play that at the next level, right? I mean, guys like Lamont Wade, Tyler Boyd, those type of dudes that kind of just do it out of necessity, but where they're playing next. So yeah, it's a pretty fun class. Michael Carroll's pretty good as well. I think Jared Porter too from CDs.
Yep, Anthony Staka's on this board, guys. Is dad.
Going to mention him. Yeah, I was going to mention him. Probably. I mean, obviously, all signs kind of point to Penn State for him, but obviously, he's got dozens and dozens of offers too. So that might not be the case. But
he's 6'3", 225, can cover like a safety.
Alex Tatch from Greater Latrobe. I know Brian's been high on him as well.
Yep.
This is a fun class just to see it all come together. I haven't broken down the film for us, but I'm really surprised. That's a big leap for Matt Zollers there, man, to go all the way up to 3. but he is a good football player. So now we got to go look. We got to put the Stone Saunders, Matt Zoller's film side by side and check it out. So we love Stone too. He's a heck of a player. So.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
A lot of stuff in the news this week. I guess first of all, Big 33 did announce coach Jersey Shore, right? Gravish.
Yeah, Tom Gravish. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they actually picked him back in November. Gravish is a guy. I'm going to guess 30 plus years at 30 plus years of coaching. I think he's probably Jersey Shore, maybe the last 12 years there, 100 some wins at Jersey Shore has really made them kind of a benchmark program in District 4. And obviously the way he handled this year was just a tragic year for them to kind of work through that tragedy early in the season. And keep those guys together too. That kind of speaks of what kind of leader this guy is. So I know, again, we talked a little bit, Brian, you and I, about this last week. The process, coaches clinic, I believe, is in 2 weeks up at Penn State. They'll select the team there, and then the process of contacting players to see A, if they're interested, B, if they're available. And that usually takes like a 7 to 10 days. During that stretch, they're also piecing together, starting to piece together the East-West rosters to get those going too. So there's a lot of cold calling and things like that at the end of January. And then they're going to announce when they're going to unveil a team. Right now, there's no set date. I'm being told that the coaches and Gary Cathell, the executive director, and those guys are going to meet this week to decide on those kind of dates and where and when they're going to release it.
I'll say, we did the story last year. The Big 33 had not had a minority coach in 66 years. Tom's a great story. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, but I'll say, just for reporting's sake, this is 67 now. And if you and it's worth, I think we're going to have to circle back, talk to the Minority Coach Association, which they started last year. This is 67 years now. And if you look, the first 20 or 30 of those years, they were doing East-West games. So there's probably closer to 100 coaches that a minority coach, which is, I don't know how that happens, but it does. It's kind of like Bryant Marks said in the story we did, they don't walk in the room with the intention, but they keep walking out of it with it happening. So I don't know. That's an interesting kind of storyline here going along with this Big 33 game as it continues, no matter who they name coach. But it is don't want to beat Tom up. He's certainly a deserving coach. He's got a great program, and the tragic passing of Max Engel this year, it's hard to say anything bad about Jersey Shore. So, good for him, and look forward to see, who makes it from our area and how that works out. So I believe Andrew Irby's an assistant on the team from Steel High. So maybe we get to see the state's all-time leading passer
once more. Yeah, May 26th, Sunday, 7 p.m. at Cumberland Valley. That's the game date.
You selling tickets for him?
Nah, just if you want to mark your calendar, that's all I'm saying.
Code Epler.
I already put it on the budget, Brian. I'm that far ahead.
So, guys, the other thing that was kind of big in the news, Aliquippa getting bumped up to 5A. Yep, you've been around 26 years. Dan, you like your Western PA folks. How are you feeling about this with the Quips getting bumped up here?
Dan, I'll let you start on this one.
I mean, it's just silly, right? Like we've all seen the team. We know like it's not. It's kind of. It just feels like they're the only ones that are kind of being forced to play by this rule set. Not the only ones, but the highest profile one that kind of continually has to, bow to the rule book of, hey, this is how you move up in classes. And if you win too much, you got to move up. And if you get too many transfer, you have to move up. And then we see other programs not have to do it. And we see Aliquippa, and we see them have to, argue their case and everything. And it seems like they're the ones that are, I don't want to say targeted isn't the right word, but they're the ones that always seem to kind of get the short end of the stick here. And you know what? The funny thing is, I don't think it's even that big of a competitive thing because I think they're still going to be just insanely competitive in 5A. I don't think their issue is numbers because I think that they're going to have enough good players to beat the brakes off some 5A teams too. But at some point, you have to think a school that small will have some sort of diminishing returns when they keep moving up. So I'd never be one to doubt Mike Warfield in that program. But I'm sure that I know that people in that area are not happy about it.
No, they're definitely not happy. And you're right. They're not the only ones. There's about 12 or 14 schools that are going to be subject to this competition formula by the PIAA and be forced to move up. Obviously that's before any appeals come in. And Aliquippa certainly appealed. I think McDevitt's probably going to appeal. McDevitt won't win the appeal. So they'll be moving up to 5A as well. So there's probably, a dozen or more schools that are in this situation. And of course, Southern Columbia is sort of the opposite end of this. But again, if you prove that you don't have more than 3 transfers, the competition formula doesn't affect you. Yeah. So, Southern Columbia is going to sit tight in 2A. I look at it this way too, and I understand Aliquippa's piece of this because essentially they're a 1A school.
Yeah, voluntarily.
If you're using the enrollment figures, and that's what they do, they're a Class 1A school. Now, if you want to talk about a safety issue, put Aliquippa in 1A, and then you've got serious problems. But again, it's almost like you can go through this next 5A period, 2 years, and then then Aliquippa can just they're voluntarily playing up as it is. Yeah. They went up and started at 3A, and now they're up to 4, and obviously they're being pushed to 5 now. So there comes a point when you have to, I think, as the PIAA, and I think the competition formula on the surface was a good idea, but there comes a time when you do have to look at each individual program and their situation. And I think this is the sticking point here at Aliquippa. I think moving them up to 5A, I agree with you, Dan. I think they're still going to be completely competitive and may even win the damn thing in 5A. Who knows? They're not going to get away from McDevitt again. Obviously, McDevitt's going to still be at 5A as well. But I think there's a point where you have to kind of take a step back and see if this competition formula is pristine in what it's intended to do. Aliquippa certainly has an argument. I would still be afraid to play Aliquippa if I was a 5A school. So I don't know, but yeah, you do have to reevaluate this, I think, and make sure it goes by case basis. Now I know that's tough. That's difficult for a small administration that the PIAA operates under to handle these on a case by case basis. But I think this is the point where you have to do it, and obviously that's not going to happen, before next season. So you've got a few months here to kind of figure it out, and if it needs tweak, let's tweak it.
Yeah, I mean, they are voluntarily playing up, right? And 3 classifications already.
Yeah, it started moving to 3. They volunteered to move up because, like I said, they're 1A.
So why would a team ever voluntarily move up at this point now? Like if you're not going to get any sort of benefit from voluntarily moving up, what would be the point?
Yeah, you're getting no credit for moving up 3, not 1 classification, not 2, 3 classifications, and you're not getting any credit. No, I can see why they would be upset. I mean, because when you start, they may be like the one exception where they can kind of handle it. McDevitt probably too. Yeah. But when you start going from like that 3, 4A-ish to 5 and 6, there's a difference in typically in the way the top squads look. They're bigger, they're deeper. And so if you're not going to give them any credit, if there's not going to be a common sense aspect to this of just they've done probably the right things by voluntarily move up, you're still going to punish them, which feels sort of like a punishment. then I don't know, Dan. I think you're right. I don't know why you would ever move up again voluntarily any of these schools. So just won a whole bunch of titles, like Southern Columbia. It's got like 11 titles or whatever.
That's a reason why Southern doesn't move.
Why would they?
Reason why I again, and the argument from the outsiders of Southern Columbia is, well, you think you'd want to challenge your program. Okay, you can make that argument, but in a situation like this, do you not think Southern Columbia would still be competitive in 3A? Of course they would.
Yeah,
of course they would. They're on par with the Wyomissings and the Bell Vernons of 3A. Absolutely, they are.
Hey, I don't want the Patriots to leave the AFC East when Tom Brady was the quarterback. I wanted to, stay there and keep winning it every year. It's fun to win. It's fun to win football games.
It is fun to win football games. Yeah.
And like I said, they seem to have done everything. They moved up multiple classifications already. If they want to hang in 4A, I don't see the big deal. Another one you mentioned, I don't think we talked a lot about here, but exciting for Central PA to have McDevitt move up because they're going to end up in the Mid-Penn Commonwealth. And that means you get the Harrisburg game back and you get some other good matchups. I don't know, that's exciting for Central Pennsylvania football fans. Yep, you were around in the olden days when they used to break out the football and walk down the road. They used to walk right down the road.
Yeah, leather helmets. Yeah, all that stuff. It was good. Yeah, we used to walk 3 blocks to Harrisburg, and occasionally we'd walk back with the trophy. Not always, but and they would walk down to us. And it was a lot. Listen, I McDevitt needed a new high school, needed a new football field because the old one was just, the only, during the week, rats and raccoons were taking it over. There was no grass by 1st of October on Old McDevitt Field, but boy, did it have character, and that walk was part of the fabric of Bishop McDevitt football for a long, long time, and it was really cool to be a part of it.
So we're really excited about the matchups there, getting Bishop McDevitt back, Bishop McDevitt Harrisburg. I would assume we get to see Bishop McDevitt and maybe Central Dauphin in those games again because they're in the Commonwealth as well. Bishop McDevitt State College, there's all kind of intriguing matchups coming out of that. So that's kind of one that I think is probably – we reported it when it happened, and I think it got talked about a little bit for a couple of days, but that's one that's like really going to be fun for high school football fans around here. So, guys, a little bit of a thin week. I just popped up on my phone that Pete Carroll is out with the Seattle Seahawks. So there's another candidate, Dan, for your.
Yeah, but Micah Parsons is going to need a new defensive coordinator. It sounds like Dan Quinn's taking that.
Really?
It's said that he's going to be a lot of hinting that he's the top candidate.
So real quick, we got some guys from PA in the playoffs here starting up. Micah Parsons. Guys, Micah Parsons hadn't got 2 holding calls in a game since October. I think I mentioned that last week, so I'm looking again. And he's really been putting out film now. And he's had a heck of a year.
Does Mike Mike is maybe the best defensive player in football, but I mean, he's started to get the Tom Brady levels of complaining about stuff, and he's always complaining about something. But,
so let me tell you about Micah Parsons. What you got to understand though is like Micah has always, even when he was young, he's loved media and he's understood it at a different level. Now I don't know if initially he understood some of the things like what if he posted something, what might happen, or the blowback he might get, but he started to learn how to manipulate it and stuff. Now he's got this show on Bleacher Report, and he knows he goes on there, and every week when he goes on Bleacher Report, there's like 5, 6, 7 headlines come out of that show for things that he says. And I just know it's like Micah knows what he's doing.
Well, his complaining does not seem to work in terms of getting him more holding calls. So I don't think
do though.
I mean, I just think that's kind of.
He legitimately
how are you not going to hold Micah Parsons? Like that's the only way to beat him one-on-one.
Well, it's kind of funny because like the reporters asked him, and they made a point that like a lot of the times officials will throw that holding flag based off whether or not they think you could have gotten there had you not been held. And they asked Micah about it, and he's like, "Well, but they don't really understand how fast I am."
Yeah,
and he is pretty electric. Maybe one of the all-time great defensive seasons had they not eaten the flags on him, boys.
Well, I mean, how would that have really changed his defensive stats? They wouldn't change it. They'd just be more holding calls.
Well, maybe
they wouldn't
not.
wouldn't add
Maybe
sacks.
they held him less though.
Maybe. I mean, I don't. I just feel like you're going to naturally hold Micah Parsons when he beats you off the edge every single snap, right? Like,
bring up a good.
If you were an offensive lineman, would you let him keep doing that, or you just grab him and say, "I'll take the flag over
you hold
the
him,
embarrassment"?
He gets 6 less holds that are called, or 6 less holds, and they turn into sacks. Though 20 sacks. So
if I was my wheel, I forget the phrase, but shoulda.
So I took some heat from Sostek. Probably you two, Epler, at the beginning of the year when they beat the Giants, because I didn't fully understand how bad the Giants were. I said they were going to win the Super Bowl. Can Micah Parsons and the Cowboys win a Super Bowl this year?
Probably. I mean, there are like 3 good teams in the league. I was thinking about, like, if I had to make a way, if I could bet what the NFL wants, I think the NFL probably wants Lamar versus the Cowboys. I feel like that would be.
I think that's the script this year.
Either Lamar or the Bills. Those are the 2 teams I think they definitely want. I mean, they've been dying for the Cowboys to get to the Super Bowl.
Dying.
Yeah, dying for years. And I mean, we were talking about it before the season though. Micah would have to be the first player in a long time, the first guy from this area that you could make the strong case is the best player on a team that made the Super Bowl, right? Because when LaShawn McCoy made the Super Bowl, he was just a kind of there for the ride. I mean, would it be all the way back to like Ricky Waters? Even that's kind of tenuous at best to say he was.
He wasn't because they had Steve Young. He wasn't the best.
I guess a player that would be on the program, a player that would be on the cover of the program, Ricky Waters might have been on the cover. Like
Terry Rice was on that team, right? Terry Rice was on that team.
Yeah. Like Micah Parsons will be on the cover of the program if they make the Super Bowl. There aren't that many Harrisburg area people that have done that.
Ricky had a heck of a game in that Super Bowl, didn't he? If I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, he's one of the more underrated, like one of the more lost to time '90s running backs. I feel like Ricky Waters.
He was so good.
I mean, his
big run catch.
His numbers stack up for Hall of Fame. It's been an argument for a lot of years, man. Yeah. He's got better numbers than guys that are in the Hall, and he's got Super Bowls, and so I don't know.
Yeah, well, so we got Micah who's making a run at it. Chase Edmonds is still out there. CD East running back. He's playing for the Bucks. He's been getting some more playing time. And
everyone's picking to beat the Eagles. Everyone.
Yeah, they might. The Eagles are struggling, man.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Eagles?
I think
you only get 1.5 yards for the tush push. That's why. Jeez, if I hear that one more time, give me a break. That.
Well, you know what the issue is? They promoted Matt Patricia.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Apparently, he tried to change the defense to like midseason. So
sounds like him.
Horrible. So anyway, we'll see, guys. I don't know. I think the movie script, Joe Flacco leading the Cleveland Browns to the Super Bowl, and you know what? Their defense is good enough, and I don't know what happened, but it's so funny because like I see all these memes like it's like Joe Flacco played again. It's like showing him throw a pass like against like Sean Taylor or something. He's like he played against like Sean Taylor and these safeties now he's playing.
Well, my favorite is as a Pitt grad, seeing all the people tweet out pictures of him standing on the sidelines, like the quarterbacks that were playing at Pitt. I'm pretty sure Tyler Palko was at was when he came in as a freshman. Tyler Palko was the starting quarterback, and Palko's now well into his coaching career and like other business ventures, and Joe Flacco is somehow still trucking. So
if he comes off the couch and leaves it, their defense is good enough. And he
might get him to the Hall of Fame, get him 2 Super Bowls.
He comes off the couch and they end up in the Super Bowl. Because you look at AFC, it's so volatile. We're off of PA high school football right now, guys. But my boy Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs are down. Tua, they can't beat a team with a winning record. The Bills are spotty. It's really the Ravens, and I think the Browns could beat the Ravens on a given day.
Yeah. I mean, they have already this year.
Yeah. It's going to be wild. So, look, we got wild stuff coming up with the NFL. We'll be back with some more high school football next week. Dan, tell them how to find you on Twitter. Dan Sostek.
Dan_Sostek.
Yep. Tell them how to find you.
At 3Jacker on X.
And I'm at Sports by B Linder on X or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it. Check out all our stuff on PennLive.com. We will be having some stuff coming up. We actually just had a football story, a recruiting story this week with Brell Caesar. We got over 100 catches and 2,000 yards, getting a preferred walk-on from Penn State, our opportunity. So we'll be doing a lot of that as we go into February 8th signing day. We'll be back next week with another edition of the PI School Football Report podcast.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.